everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm online with Lichemeister. Hello Max.
Hi Matt, hi guys.
Hello everybody, we are together for a new matchup analysis. So we are playing the new CR9 tournament organized by Casas. Thanks a lot to Casas, by the way. Probably looking at the video, so thanks a lot for the organization of this event. It's really a cool occasion to play a UB tournament, international context with a lot of players, and you have time to play your game because it's not in a rush. It's only one game every 2 weeks, so should be enough time to play the game, analyze them, prepare ourselves, and we love this kind of tournament, Max, right?
Obviously, and yeah, as you say, I think really it's to have 2 weeks to plan your game. It's really nice because you don't need to stress about it, and almost always you can really easily find a time that your opponent and yourself are free. So really nice.
Okay guys, let's start. We start as we usually do with the map analysis. So here you have the map. We are playing on the map number 14 in case you want to check. And we are playing diagonal, so refuse flank with spoil of war. So definitely a kind of aggressive combination because spoil of war you need to go on the board. And with diagonal you know that the distance between the two sides is really short. Basically in some matchups this can lead to turn 1 charges, as you will see in a couple of minutes with Maxim match. There can be some very early charges in this game. So yeah, we have the map. Let me explain you a little bit. I played it recently in my game against Andy, in my final game in Lausanne, if you remember. That was exactly this map. I was playing on this part of the board and he was having this part of the board. So we have on the north one hill, here an impassable. So of course if some player decide to cut it that way, this gives very good hiding opportunities for big pieces. You will see my list afterwards, but this is my case, and definitely this is a very nice side to have if you have some big pieces that you need to hide from range damage. And then we have it's quite interesting because the spoil of war are exactly in 3 pieces of terrain that are not so friendly for infantry, because we have 1 time water and 2 time forest that are breaking steadfast for infantry unit. So this is really interesting because 3 of the spoils are in this kind of zone, and if you cut in this half of the board, basically you have 2 of them in forest, so that can also have an impact in some of the game maybe. And here we have some hiding capabilities with the field and the ruin. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting. There is definitely the possibility to hide some things if you cut this half and take this part of the board. But this is also valid for an opponent that would like to avoid you having too much possibilities to hide some big pieces, just to take himself this part of the board and just leave you the bottom corner where you have basically not a lot of possibilities to hide, especially a towering presence. Basically you only have a forest to hide them. So quite interesting combination. Max, maybe you have anything to add on the map? What were your thoughts when you checked the map and the combination with spoil?
Well, for me, first of all, I was pretty happy to see 2 forests in the middle of the terrain. As you will see, playing B-third is always nice to have some forest because you're a strider, so you don't care about it. And as you said, I think I was really surprised to see that 3 of the potential spoils are either in the forest or in the lake. So it really offers a counter saying, okay, you want to take this spoil and take it, but then you need to be careful because, well, it's refuse flank, so the distance are really close to each other, and you'll be either in the forest or in the lake, and so maybe no steadfast, and then you can be charged. So definitely it's a map for some action game.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on first with your match. Maybe you can explain us a little bit the list that you are playing. You're playing Beastard and you're facing a KOE.
Yeah, exactly. So my Beastard list is kind of the trendy list actually. So no Gortak, no monsters, but some big blocks of Minotaurs and Centaurs with great weapon. As general, I have the classical Beast Lord on Razato's Chariot, and then the BSB is also the famous BSB that was played a lot, but instead of the Dusk Forge for one up rollable, I prefer to take the Death Cheater. So he's a 1-up and Fortitude 4. Also Soothsayer without Master Druid, so everything really classic for a Beast Herd army. And then 2 Ambush with 2 times the 10 Longhorns, some good mobilities with 2 Chaffing units that are vanguarding with 2 times 8 Feral Hounds, and then 1 Chaff that can scout with the Gargoyles. So a lot of mobility for the Chaffing units, and then some heavy hitters with Minotaurs, Centaurs, with great weapon.
And also the chariot that are quite interesting because they can charge far and cause some damage for a cheap amount of points, actually.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been trying
surprise.
them. And yeah, exactly, because they count in core, so it's like almost 3 points. Like you don't care if you lose them, just hope that they do some impacts and have some influence in the game.
And also maybe it's worth mentioning that you can hide the general and the BSB either within the unit of Raiding Chariot to just maybe share the damage between them, or you can put them behind either the Chariot or the Minotaurs, and then you get a full cover for the line of sight purposes, which is quite interesting.
That's the idea. And then you have still 5 wounds from the Beast Lord with a 5-up Aegis, and you still have the Fortitude 4 for the Chieftain. So still
plus Druidism, so
still
quite resilient.
Quite tough characters. So even against cannons or stuff like that, there are ways to protect them, I think. So should be fine, but we'll see. And for my opponent this time, so I'm playing Kingdom of Aquitaine list. So definitely happy to have brought some great weapon with me. It's quite a simple list to explain because it has 2 big blocks and 2 middle blocks. So 15 Knights Aspirants and 12 Questing Knights. I expect all the characters to go within the Questing Knights, so you will have 2 units of 15 guys, and then 9 Knights and 10 Knights Aspirants as the 2 middle units. He also has a solo character, so a cowboy. It's his General Duke on the Hippogriff. It's a pretty defensive stuff that he got. I think he has a 2-up rollable, and then he can either take the Aegis that has +1 Aegis. So basically, against my army, he will have a 4-up Aegis. And then, really defensive stuff with the Black Knight Tabard. So I looked up what it is, and it's actually an item that allows your guy, when he is dead, and during the same initiative step as he's dead, he comes back to life with 1 wound and with an Aegis 3+. So that's during the end of the fight, I think.
Yeah.
And then from the next turn, he is just alive with 1 wound, and then you have a Master Druidism, so you can bring more wounds back. So it's a pretty durable character.
Rising like a phoenix.
Quite nice. Exactly, definitely like a phoenix, but you are sure that he will rise. It's even better than a phoenix. And then he got like a small Duke. It's not bringing a lot, I think, to the unit. It's just a 1-up rollable and then 5-up Aegis, a BSB that is just 1-up, 5-up Aegis, and as I said, the big blocks, 1 Chaff unit and 1 Green Knight. Okay. So as you see,
pretty
there are not a lot of units in his. Yeah, pretty straightforward, and I think he just lacks a little bit of Chaff unit. I found that only 5 Yeomen, it's pretty small, but we are playing Refuse Flank, so at least that will help him, because as we spoke before, from turn 1 he can have charges with movement 8 in all its army, and then the Knight Aspirants that can reroll charges, so you can definitely try the charge on turn 1 if you get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's also an aspect for carry, the fact that they can charge really far away, maybe could need less chaff. Could be an aspect of the list, maybe. But I find quite interesting the core composition of the list. 25 Knight Aspirants, you don't see that quite often. So that's quite original.
I would have preferred to have at least the big 10 Knights Aspirant, maybe 2 times 5.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit more units and board control, I think. But we will see. I think, it's not easy to deal with 10 Knight Aspirant.
Yeah, sure.
But at least it's interesting.
Let's
And
move
then
on to the map.
for the deployment, so that was the idea of if I can choose a side and also begin. So it's not something that is really probable to do, but you never know. I think the cutting of this map is definitely the right one by taking 2 forests really in the middle of the map, because he's definitely not gonna like it.
Yeah,
and
that's annoying
I don't
for
care
him.
about. Yeah, it will really be annoying for him. And I also like the Impassable that is almost cutting his army in half. And with his list, I think he has to put almost everything together. So at least I can be pretty sure that he will be deployed on the bottom part of the map, and then maybe 1 unit of 10 knight aspirants, or the 9 questing guys will be on top, but that's it. So I think I can expect him to deploy more on the bottom part of this map. And for my part, the idea is just to counter the deployment with my unit. So I don't think we really see it well, but the idea was to have the 15 centros on the top. Actually, the
Yeah,
15
sorry, I
centros are
cut a
not
little
this
bit the
great.
image, I guess, but yeah, you have the 15 there.
Yeah, but you see just one, so you can imagine there's 15 guys on the top. It's actually they are there because they're actually one of the less useful units in this matchup for me. Statistically, the better units are the 2x6 Minotaurs. They are really doing well against such knight units. And then the Mongrels are really, really well suited for this. They can take care of either the 10 knights aspirants or the 9 questing guys, because with the spear and the banner of the Wild Horn, they got 2 strength 4. So the KIOE will only have a 6 up Aegis. But I
Interesting.
still have, yeah, it's really nice, and I still have armor piercing 3 because of the spear, the banner, and then the charging unit.
I was
So
just
AP
asking
3, and
myself,
then
one question regarding the mongrel. If you wouldn't prefer to put them maybe 5 wide just to get sure that you will be steadfast. Maybe if you roll
the
ball,
idea is
I don't know.
if I get charged normally
Yeah.
by one of these 2 units, so the middle units, normally they shouldn't be able to break my steadfast, because in statistic I killed 5 guys of his,
Yeah.
and then he has like 1 rank. So
Okay, yeah, sure.
and he
Yeah.
cannot kill 15.
Yeah, okay,
So
you just have
normally it should be
to
good,
avoid
but yeah,
one of
you
the
never.
big bosses. Okay, I see.
Definitely the big bosses will be a problematic. I think what I have to take care of is avoid being charged by the knight aspirants, because the 15 guys with banner of the last charge, they will just kill every unit they touch, actually. So the idea is really use my chaff, try to avoid getting charged by them, and if I can send 6 Minotaurs into them, then it's game over for him. So it really, I think the first turn is really will have an impact for the whole game. It's really about who can get the first turn, who can get the charges he wants, and then
So
it's basically.
I assume if you can, you are going
close.
to drop to get the first turn.
Exactly. If I can, that will be my first option, I think. But I think if I can get the first turn and drop everything, that means I cannot choose the side. Because I expect him to drop everything, but maybe that won't be the case. But I expect him to do that.
It's always interesting with KOE, because even if he drops everything, he's not sure to start because of the praying.
Exactly. But then it's also the question, what do I do with my vanguarding units? Do I try to still put them in front, or do I fear him because he can have the first turn? So we'll see. That will be interesting to see what happens in this first turn, at least.
Yeah, it's interesting because you are really, at the moment, if we see the map, you are really high. Basically, you would have some charges turn 1. If you don't start, it's quite interesting. Maybe you will need to be a couple of inches back just to be sure that he can't charge. Some stuff like a single target, stuff like that.
If you drop everything to start, I will have to put my army maybe 2 inches back.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if I start and I'm 2 inches back. I will not do some charges turn 1, so it has no impact on my play. But at least I avoid him getting first turn and being able to charge me. So I think we will see. But if he drops everything, I will probably be more than 20 inches away from him, and then just put my vanguarding units a little bit further up in the field, because if you want to charge them, he can. You will have no overrun, and then that's it.
Okay, interesting.
So that's the idea.
How would you rate the matchup? Rather positive, open? What would be your opinion, considering all the parameters that you have here?
I think it's because of refused flank. I think it's more open than it would have been on the other deployment, because I still think that I have the upper hand with so many high strengths in my army. But because it can go so fast south, because we are on refused flank, it's still favorable to me. But I don't think it will be a 13-7 or something like that. It's either I can win big or he can win big. But I think the matchup is still in my favor, because we were only speaking about the units on the battlefield, and then I have still 2 ambushing units, and I don't see a lot of answer from his side to my
exactly
ambushers.
what I was thinking at the moment. I was thinking, if he can't take a long charge in the early stage and then you come on the field with 2 longer units, it will be a nightmare for him to manage, because he has not enough chaff, so he will use Green Knight to move back, but then there is still another unit, so then you need to turn around with something else, and then you will just have probably too much threat for him. That's a little bit my feeling.
Yeah, that's what I plan, at least. Yeah, definitely.
Because if you see a battlefield, you have so many units on the board facing him. He has only 4 big knight units plus a cowboy, and then you come on the board with 2 ambush that are pretty tough. Still long run. I mean, strength 5. It's quite annoying. Cannot take a charge on the back.
It's still strength 5 at P2. Yeah. So at least they can disrupt their ranks.
Exactly.
And that's what's really nice. Mm-hmm. You can have some quite long charges with pack tactics, and then just disrupt the ranks and come in front with minotaurs or centaurs or whatever, and then it can really go south for him.
And like we discussed before, I think what's most likely for me is that he will play maybe a bit more compact. We could also expect him blocking somehow the possibilities of ambushing by basically maybe playing some compact in the south part of the board where you see the 3 big unit, maybe add number 4, blocking a little bit the entrance, drop a little bit deeper, and cover maybe the flank or the side with the hippo guy, and the back with the green knight, maybe stuff like that, and just block and wait for the ambush to come on before moving forward. That's maybe also a possibility for him to limit a little bit the damage of the ambush.
The risk
is that you would go on spoil.
I might be exactly, and I might be able to chaff his war army with just 1 or 2 units, and then
definitely
just take board control. So
but I don't think really that he can play.
Tough choice.
Yeah, it's tough choice, but I'm not sure he can really afford to play openly and not care about the ambush, because it will be so annoying to manage. Somehow, I think he has to limit the damage just a little bit by maybe being a slightly more compact and just covering some additional angle, just to avoid them causing too much trouble. Because I think if he comes, for example, if you see this picture, you come south and you come north, I mean, it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, maybe he has to drop the spoil on the top and just say, okay, I'm gonna play with the one in the center, one in the bottom, and then see what happens. Maybe
and just focus his forces, because
it's hard with refused flank.
Yeah, definitely.
I think with refused flank, it's pretty hard to avoid ambushers, because they can really come from 3 sides here. So
yeah,
I would need from the south part, the north part.
Yeah, I agree. If he really wants to cover, I mean, he needs to be pretty compact and to block a lot of spaces, which is complicated. And I'm curious to see what Turvak is going to do during this game.
Yeah,
and
me too.
You will show us with some screenshots on the next matchup analysis.
Yeah, definitely, I will do.
You know, guys, how we do that. So Max will do a short recap in the next video that we do on the preparation for the second game of this tournament. So good luck for this game.
Thanks.
Let's move on to thanks. Let's move on to mine. So this is the list I'm playing. I think you saw it more or less. You saw similar version of it. Maybe some changes that I did. So I kept the Prophet General on the Great Boot of Shamut. Starting to play better and better. This guy, I really love him in the list. Of course, he's pretty expensive. Obviously, you need to be careful what you do, but just love the model and the possibilities given by him. I have my second flyers, the Lamassu Scholar, who is pretty cheap, pretty versatile. Love him as well. Second mage. Then I decided to drop the Commissioner and try this time the Vizier, the cheap Vizier on Seat of Authority, basically as a 1-up armor save. Just he has the possibility to be hidden within a big unit, or with the Seat of Authority can also go safe in a vassal unit. So I wanted to try this alternative to maybe spend a little less points in the character section regarding Commissioner BSB. My core didn't change that much. I just added a Banner of Relentless Company on the Infernal Warrior. I think it can be useful. Then I brought back my second unit of Anointed, and I grew again to 6 Anointed with Infernal Weapon. I tried as well with Great Weapon, unit of 5, but I wasn't too convinced. And I still think Infernal Weapon Shield is much better, still quite expensive, but definitely better. So I wanted to try out them again. And then for the second unit, I just went for the cheap version. Paired Weapon, unit of Chaff. Kalim Titan, I brought him back. I tried a couple of games with the Incarnate, but I wasn't that much convinced. I wasn't able to really use them smartly. I think I need some more testing maybe to be convinced, but overall, I think the Kalim Titan fits maybe better what I like in the book and what he can offer me at the table. It maybe fits just better my style, I guess. And then something new I brought to this list was the Double Titan Mortar Gunnery team. It's still pretty cheap, not bad, quite versatile, because it can cause a lot of strength 3 AP 0 hits, and still the key strength 7 AP 4 multiple wound D3. It's not bad, it can move. I mean, obviously you will hit a lot on 5-up, but still you don't suffer from cover, and for 300 points I think it's not too bad to have an additional tool against monster and cowboys. So I was pretty happy to try them out. My opponent, so I copy pasted the page that I prepared. I did my homework, as you can read. So I wrote you down basically all the combos and the rules, but maybe to sum it up, what he does, he has 2 big units, 1 big unit of 27 Temple Guard with a Rending Banner, 1 big unit of Dread Legionnaire with a Banner of Speed. I think it's pretty fair it's fair to say that he will most likely put the Divine Altar BSB within the Dread Legionnaire to profit from the Banner of Speed, and at any time during the game he can move out of this unit, so he would give them as well magical resistance 2. Regarding the Assassin, I expect him to be within the Temple Guard, because he's giving them hard target 1, which is really good to protect them a little bit. We know their weaknesses, they don't like magic range damage, shooting, stuff like that. So I guess it's a smart choice to give them hard target 1 and also MR2. So not bad at all. Assassin is ready for close combat. And then magical setup is also very interesting and quite original. Master Witchcraft. And then he has Dark Acolyte, a big unit of them, pretty expensive. Obviously with the Champion of Yama to get the Gravecall and stuff like that. He has then triple Bolt Thrower, and other than that, 1 unit of Chaff and 2 small units. So there is also possibility for the altar to go within the blades. I think he has multiple options. This could give him a 3rd big unit on the battlefield to have 30 Dread Legionnaire, and then a big unit with the blade plus altar, and then a big unit of Toro Guard. It's also an option for him. So I think there are these 3 options that he can do. But basically, yeah, 3 main threats that are infantry, which is quite original at the moment with the still old Dread Elves book. So I did 2 simulations on UB. The first one was if I can choose how I want to cut the board and choose my side. So I would cut the board this way and take the top right. Obviously this gives me a lot of possibilities to hide a little bit my big stuff. For example, here consider the fact that he would probably drop for first turn. Here in this simulation I put the altar within the blade, but most likely I expect rather the altar to be within the legionnaire, because if you see in this simulation, if he puts the altar and Tower Guard, basically the top left would be pretty weak, and I mean Dread Legionnaire alone cannot face Toruk Anointed, for example. So I think it's unlikely that he puts the altar within the Blade of Nap. It will rather be within the Dread Legionnaire, and I would expect basically two hordes, one horde of Temple Guard in the center, and then within 12 second horde with the Divine Altar. But I expect him to play rather compact. Maybe Dark Acolyte could be on the opposite flank with a small scoring unit like the Blade of Nab, just to try to go for the third objective and not give him give it to me for free. And in this scenario that you see on the screen, basically he would drop everything for first turn. That way, probably most likely Tower Guard in the center that are his strongest piece, and then I would minimize a little bit what he could do with the Bolt Thrower on turn 1 by hiding all my pieces. Here you see my position out of the Kadim Titan is quite interesting, I guess. Since he has nothing in this simulation on the south, I could put myself so to minimize his possibility to shoot at me by having hard cover against every one of the Bolt Thrower. If he puts the Yema, then I would maybe need to consider to put myself the other way around. I would just get no cover against this Bolt Thrower, but the other two would still suffer from some cover. So I have some option, I guess. And then on the top, I also made sure that the two units of Toruk Anointed can minimize the amount of damage that they can take, but also covering all the possible angles to basically just annoy me. So that would be one option, and I discussed a little bit with my coach Coco. It was interesting discussion because first of all, when I did this simulation, I put my units much more closer to the starting line, and then he just told me, why don't you put them a bit further back, because basically turn 1 he will march on the token, and then if turn 2 he can just pick the token and charge you. I mean, then you can already give up chaff. So basically I calculated the fact that he could do 10 with Tower Guard, and then I can still move slightly back if I want. He will be out of charge range, and then he need to move again only 5, or need to reform to have the rank with the token, stuff like that. So we'll need to do stuff, and then I can still provide chaff. But I still think I need a bit more time to shoot with Titan Mortar, to do some magic to reduce a little bit these big units, because they are really very tough in combat, especially Tower Guard that are really complicated to deal with. They are striking before me very hard, a lot of attacks, high weapon skill, plus the assassin, so it's quite complicated to face them. So thanks Coco for this piece of advice. I think it was definitely a much better simulation than the first one that I did, and to be on the starting line, especially since I will be playing second. So that's my first simulation, if I can pick side. And here you can see I put some scoring, maybe to be able to play for every one of the spoils. I think that would be my strengths. Obviously, I would most likely struggle to get, I think he will most likely get the two top spoils in the early stages of the game, and then if I can reduce him enough, I can maybe make him drop the spoil and then go into combat. So that would be a little bit my game plan, to be a bit more patient. Second option that you can see on the screen, in this scenario I would expect him to take the same part of the board that I would take, basically for the reason that it would put me totally exposed to his shooting, and would force me to play probably much more aggressive. Obviously he can do some other cuttings of the map, they are also valid, but I think it's maybe the only scenario, if he decides to take the top right, where I would drop everything to start the game, because if you see my starting position, I basically have no cover at all on my big pieces, and I don't like that much to be shooted for free by Bolt Throwers. So basically I would drop everything in such way to have, if you see, there are 3 parts in this deployment. You have the top part, which is much more mobile. I can anytime back the Kadim Titan, back the Lamassu, and just leave more or less the Toruk Anointed alone. They can even reform and then move, but they are pretty cheap. They are, I mean, expendable. not that important in the list. So this is basically a flexible part of the list, depending what he puts on the hill. If he goes with Tower Guard, something very, very strong, and goes for this spoil, I could anytime move back. Then you have the middle part. This is where I put every infantry of my list plus the chaff. So basically a lot of my infantry is pretty cheap, pretty garbage, vassal, orc, stuff like that. I can give them for free. So I just calculated that if I start, I could basically move a little bit, stay out of range, and then if he moves 10 for the spoil, I could chaff him, and then chaff again, and just when I'm ready to face them, I can go for them. But basically this leaves me with the possibility to shoot at him and just be ready with my big brick when I want to face him. And then we have the third part of my deployment would be the south part, where I have the Great Bull plus the 6 anointed. Basically my thought process was the following. I don't think it's likely that he will put either the big unit of Legionnaire with altar or the Tower Guard down here, down the impassable, because basically, I mean, if you put Tower Guard here, they are isolated for the rest of the battle. It's a nightmare. And the BSB here, I think it's very unlikely. So I think the Anointed don't want to face the Tower Guard in the early stages, so this would give me the option to go for an easy spoil of war, and then just reform and looking down the center, and I will chaff again, and then when I'm ready, basically I have two big threats ready to face the Tower Guard, and I think that could be the solution for me in the latest stage of the game. Obviously, position of the Great Bull quite interesting because I can fly 14, move on the ground 14, threaten the side, threaten maybe the wizard, and be hidden from the ball thrower possibly. Depending what position he takes, I still think I have some good possibilities. So that would be an option where I would need to be aggressive. I would drop and start to move forward, especially on the flank, where I would definitely need to be aggressive. And maybe finally, the last thing that I figured out is the Blade of Nab. Even they are only 13, they are quite annoying for me because I have 3 attack each with hatred and poison. So this is just a nightmare for my two big pieces, the Great Bull and the Kadim Titan. That's why I put it each time one unit of anointed with them, because basically if you put Blade of Nab down or up, I can face them with anointed and it would only wound me on 6 up. I have an armor save, he's AP 0. I should be able to deal with them somehow. Even the small unit of paired weapon, I'm hitting him on 2+ because I have offensive 6, he has defensive 2. So it's 2+2+ with 12 attacks plus impact hits plus stomp. I could just one-shot them easily. So I think that's an important point. I need to keep that in mind, that the Blade of Nab can cause me some troubles. So definitely for me, the key problem in this game are the Tower Guard, and I need to be careful and use my chaff, and then if I can, breast weapon, shoot. But the problem is, with hard target 1, I'm hitting only on 6 up, and that's a problem. So I will definitely focus the Titan Mortar on the Dread Legionnaire unit, and obviously it's very juicy because the Strength 7 multiple wound will go on the altar. So if I can kill the altar, then the game is slightly different, because then he loses BSB, he loses Death Strength. That can be something completely different, because he can be somehow he can play a bit greedy with the Tower Guard, since he's bodyguard, he has assassin, so it's a complicated unit. Okay guys, that's all for my game. So as you can see, it's pretty much different from depending if I'm able to choose the side or not, and how he will cut the board if he's able to choose the side. I think he has the key possibly to force me to go for a more aggressive game, or to be able to be more patient, especially with the Great Bull looking for cover and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how I'm able to deal with this kind of infantry block that are pretty tough, that hit very, very hard, and to see how he approaches the game, if he's able really to move forward so aggressive as I see, or if he'll be maybe a bit more cautious, and how the magic as well can annoy me. We know that with witchcraft, the random move, this kind of spell can be very annoying. So I'm looking forward to see a little bit how he's able to use that against me, and how I'm able to threaten him with my amount of threats, because I have more things on the table. So I think it will definitely be an interesting game, especially also considering the fact that Arthur is an ETC player from Belgium, so I know that he's playing a lot at the moment in the international scene. So he should be a good player, and will obviously have prepared this game as well. So it will be quite interesting to follow the battle report, I guess. Okay, Max, anything to add?
No, I think just about your opponent's list,
Yeah.
what I'm really liking is that you will be able to play all the phases actually. And like his army is good at every phase. He has nice movement with some units like the Emma or stuff like that. He got nice shooting. He got magic that's really interesting with Master Witchcraft. I think Master Witchcraft is really tricky when you can really master this pass, this lore. It's really interesting to play it. And then good shooting, and then good close combat. So I think, it's going to be a really interesting game for you, because you both have to play all the phases and have something interesting to do during all the phases.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's
It
going
will
to
be
be
a
nice.
technical game, and don't forget the fact that with the Witchcraft, he can use the fly spell, he can use the attribute that make you charge quite far away, and then if you have an infantry with movement 7 or even more, he can boost the altar. I mean, he can charge really far away for an infantry. If you put 2 spells on the unit with speed banner, then you have movement 8, and you maximize the charge, so you are as fast as cavalry with 30 bodies. So it
Pretty
could be
nice.
very... Yeah, I think it could cause some surprises. I think I need to be ready for it and to be careful, because the magic can probably change everything with the amount of synergies that he has in the list. As long as the altar is living, I need really to be careful what he could do, because it can be very, very fast. So yeah, I'm also curious to see your game, how it goes. Of course, guys, we will tell you. So about my games, you will see it in the battle report, as I do usually. And Max games, as we did for the last CR9 tournament together, we will do a short recap at the start of the next matchup analysis together.
Yeah,
Max,
sure.
thanks a lot for the collaboration. Always a pleasure to discuss with you about the matchup. And good luck for your game.
Thanks.
Thanks
You
everybody
too.
for watching.
See you.
Bye
Bye.
guys.